Test 1 2 3 1 2 3. Perfect. So we can start. Hello everybody. My name is Tony Justine. Welcome. I'm going to speak plainly tonight because the world is already flooded with performance. I am not here to perform, I am here to lay down a map. This will be part of many broadcasts, hopefully. I'm not asking you to believe me, I am not asking you to follow me, I am not asking you to agree. I am asking you to listen with the part of you that can still recognize structure. If you are here for comfort, you might not like this. If you are here for truth, you are in the right room. Most people live with one biography. The first biography is the public one. It is the version of you that fits inside documents and profiles, dates, cities, jobs, relationships, achievements. The kind of story you can tell in polite company without making anyone uncomfortable. The biography you can reduce into a paragraph for an application or a conference. Then there is the second biography, the private one, the secret one. The one you do not advertise because it does not belong on LinkedIn. The biography that lives under the surface. The story of what you think you are, why you were born, what you sense the world really is doing, and what you quietly suspect about the architecture behind reality. Most people have both biographies, they just do not admit it out loud. I do. And for me, those two biographies do not match. It's not easy. Just a second, I'm just going to check something. Yeah, perfect, we can continue. And for me, those two biographies do not match. Here's the public one. I was born on March 9, 1972 in Istanbul, Turkey. I grew up between worlds, between layers, between languages. I moved to Canada. I entered technology early at the beginning of the modern internet, when the world was still naive enough to think it was building a tool, not a new nervous system for the planet. I founded a hosting company called Softcom. We built infrastructure, servers, systems, services. We powered platforms like Mail to Web.com, and we served millions of users around the world. On paper, it's a clean story: migrant, builder, founder, growth, acquisition. If you stop the story there, it is already a full life. But that story is not the story, it is the outer shell. Because the second biography is not a career story, it's not a success story, it is not even a spiritual story in the way people use that word now. It is a memory story. It is the story of what I remember myself to be. It is the story of why I am here at all. And I know how this sounds, so I'm going to say it directly and let it land. Well, this is difficult. I remember being Metatron. Not as a metaphor, not as a costume, not as a role-play fantasy for attention, as a continuity, as a function, as a mind that has moved through many tasks, many eras, many bodies, many civilizations, always carrying the same core assignment: to measure, to record, to build, to correct, to preserve the integrity of the design. If you hear that and your first instinct is to call it madness, congratulations. You are still sane enough to recognize that extraordinary claims require extraordinary standards. I agree. I do not want to disable your skepticism. I want you to sharpen it. Because I'm not building a church here. I'm building a test. A test of how you decide what is real. A test of whether your mind can hold an idea without immediately worshipping it or murdering it. Most people cannot do that. They have only two modes: devotion or dismissal, belief or mockery, follow or attack. This is not intelligence, that is programming. So let me make something clear before I go further. I am not asking for worship. I am not asking for money. I am not asking for disciples. I am not asking you to abandon your life and join a cause. If anything in you wants to do that, I am telling you now, do not. Because the mission is not for you to believe in me, the mission is for you to remember yourself. Now, here is the problem. Anyone can claim anything. Anyone can say, I am an angel. Anyone can say, I remember being a god. Anyone can say, I have the truth. Words are cheap, and the internet is full of people selling grand identity statements like they are perfume. So what makes my second biography different? This is where I stop talking about belief and start talking about evidence. Not the kind of evidence that proves a soul in a laboratory. That is not how reality works. I mean evidence of pattern, evidence of structure, evidence of signature, and my signature is number. You are about to hear me talk about numbers. If you already feel the urge to roll your eyes, let me help you. There are two kinds of people who talk about numbers. The first kind uses numbers like decorations, they use numerology like glitter, they throw digits around until it sounds mystical, and then they sell you something. The second kind uses numbers like engineers. They treat number as a language the universe uses to remain consistent. They use number to test whether something is random noise or a coherent signal. I am the second kind. I do not use numbers to impress you. I use numbers to check reality. And the reason I ended up here speaking to you like this is because where there was a night where the numbers stopped being a curiosity and became a fractured line. That night happened in Berlin. Let me take you there. I was in my mid-40s. I had already built what many people are trained to chase. I had built a company, scaled it, lived in the stress of global infrastructure, dealt with staff, systems, pressure, responsibility. I had lived inside the machine. And then the machine did what machines do. It consumed the human. The sale of my company did not bring peace, it brought something else. A sensation many founders know but do not say out loud. You do not feel like you made a deal, you feel like you got mugged in a suit. The external story is success, the internal story is extraction. And when that happens, something in you collapses. Not dramatically, not like a movie, but quietly. You wake up and the motivations you used to run on are gone. The trophies are irrelevant, the noise is too loud, the victories taste like cardboard. And in that hollow space, a question rises, not what should I do next, the deeper one. What was the point of any of it? So I did what many people do in that kind of collapse. I went looking. I did not go looking for a religion. Religion is usually just a cage with nice wallpaper. I did not go looking for a guru. Gurus are often just human beings who discovered that attention pays. I went looking for something structural, something that would not flatter me, something that would not require my belief to function. And I found numbers. I found gematria. Now, gematria is old, it is not a new invention. It is the fact that in certain alphabets, letters also function as numbers. Words carry numerical values, systems developed around that. sometimes for study, sometimes for symbolism, sometimes for hidden coding. In modern times, we have calculators, websites, tools. You type a phrase, and it gives you values across different systems. So in Berlin, in that state of spiritual nausea and mental exhaustion, I did what almost everyone does first. I typed my own name, Tony Yusti. And the calculator gave me three values, one value in a Jewish gematria system, one in an English system, one in a simple system. Three numbers, nothing magical yet, just outputs. Then something happened that I did not plan. A face came into my mind, not politely, not like an idea I invented, more like a declaration arriving. Hierophant crown. I typed it. Same three numbers. And at first I thought interesting coincidence. Then another phrase arrived. God is on earth now. I typed it. Same three numbers again. Let me slow down and make this very, very simple. Three different phrases, no shared words, yet they produce the exact same values in three different systems. My name, a role, and a mission statement. One code, three masks. Now I can already hear the objections and I respect them. People will say, these calculators are arbitrary, language is flexible, you can cherry pick phrases, coincidences happen. Yes, they do. But there is a moment where coincidence stops feeling like coincidence and starts feeling like a key fitting a lock. That was that moment. And I did not respond by proclaiming myself holy. I responded like an engineer. I added the numbers. 1434 plus 1122 plus 187. The sum was 2743. That number did not feel like a lucky charm. It felt like a tag. It felt like a coordinate. It felt like a signature embedded into the simulation. And that night, something in me split the world into two halves. Before the code and after the code. Because after that, the numbers did not stop. They multiplied, they connected, they formed a lattice. And the lattice kept pointing back to the same conclusion. Life is not random. Life is not an accident. This life is not, or maybe is, a final login. Now listen carefully. I am not saying therefore worship me. I am saying if reality has an architecture, there are fingerprints. And if you find a fingerprint that keeps repeating, you do not call it superstition, you investigate it. That is what I did. I started building a map. Not a map of beliefs, a map of structural constants that kept appearing in my biography, my history, my identity, and the larger world. The first of those constants is 27. 27 is not just a number I like, it shows up like a watermark. My birth date is March 9. 9 times 3 is 27. You can dismiss that as a simple multiplication, but the universe loves simple mathematics. Simplicity is not weakness, it is structure. From there, the pattern expands into other numbers. 34, 43, 93, 27, 43, 24, 73, 23, 74, 369, 366. You do not need to memorize them tonight. I will walk you through them slowly like stepping stones. But understand the purpose. I'm not here to make you impressed. I'm here to create an internal shift in you from passive listening to active verification. Because the entire world is currently built to do the opposite. The world trains you to consume claims and then choose a team. Religion says believe or burn, politics says agree or be the enemy, social media says like or attack. Spiritual marketplaces say pay or stay asleep. I reject all of that. I'm here to say something that will annoy every control system at once. Truth does not require your obedience, truth survives scrutiny. So I will continue this story, but I will continue it in a very specific way. I will keep offering you two things at the same time: the mythic biography and the structural evidence. Because if this is real, it will not collapse under examination. And if it is not real, it should collapse. That is the deal, that is the standard. That is why I can speak like this without asking you for belief, because I am not selling a conclusion. I'm offering a method. In the next part, I'm going to take you deeper into the Berlin event and into the Cathedral of Numbers that unfolded from it. I will show you how 2743 becomes an identity seal, how 27 becomes a signature, how 34 and 43 link to origin and lineage, how 2473 links to the gate of 366, the extra day, the grace window, the last extension in the timeline, and then we will move from numbers into the real war, the war over what God is and what has been done in God's name. But for now, I want you to sit with one thought, and I want you to keep it clean. You do not have to believe who I say I am. You only have to notice whether the structure I am describing behaves like noise or like design. Because reality is strange enough without needing bad evidence. And I am not interested in bad evidence. I am interested in the kind that holds up when lights turn on. So this is the end of part 1. I'll see you in part 2.